Now I'd like to invite to the stage Blue Green for his story entitled Can't. So give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you all, thank you all. I'm going to set the timer here because I feel that I go over a lot and I want to try to get it somewhere around. It's not going to go off and beep if all goes well. It's just going to vibrate and that should tell me to stop, so we'll see how it goes.
It's a good idea.
And I'm going to set it for 5 minutes and I figure I could wrap it up at that point. Can you tolerate me for 5 minutes, you think?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more actually, but we'll see. Okay, here we go. Can't. Well, my father would always say to me, boy, can't is not a word that should be in your vocabulary. And, you know, I used to hate hearing that as a kid because anytime I wanted to do something, I thought it was too hard or I wasn't good enough to do it, he would always tell me that. And the funny thing was, now we talk about the art story we just heard of, he was an artist, but he never told me about this when I lived at home, and nor when I did anything artistic would he ever encourage me on those things. He would just kind of just gloss over this. Later on, I'd figure out why. But anyways, I grew up in Southern Ohio, and it's easy to have doubt about yourself growing up down there. Basically, you're poor white trash. You're like everybody else. Your parents they work in the mines, or they work in a steel mill, and you're like everybody else. And to top it off, my last name was Green, or still is Green. And Green is like the most common name in England, pretty much. It's like Smith, pretty much, in England. So Green's a very common name. So I'm basically a poor white trash, nobody, no money, didn't come from anything. I'm not from the rich Greens, I'm from the poor Greens, and I grew up in the hills. So basically I'm a hillbilly. And if we looked, I grew up on the Ohio River, and it's funny, we used to make fun of all the people in West Virginia. Oh, those West Virginia people, that's why the toothbrush was invented over there, because they only have one tooth. And they're right across the river. I grew up in the hills of the Ohio Valley, no different than West Virginia, basically. So doubt is always in your mind, basically. You don't think you're much at all. But having my father tell me that really, enforced me to do things that I doubted, to step into the darkness is the way I look at it. Sometimes in life you got to be willing to step into the darkness and put all doubt aside and just hope the ground's going to be there when you step into that darkness. And if you trust yourself and what you do and you believe in yourself, you'll make that happen. And that's with everything I've done in my life. My dad always told me also that, you can sell your talents a little bit, but don't oversell your talents. Make sure you can come to the table and do what you want to do. So I took that to heart. I got a job as a computer guy out of college. I went to school for videography, but finding a job around here in the 90s for video was like unheard of. It's still hard, but it was really, really hard back then. All my friends went to California. So I knew how to plug in. We had a network in our house because my roommate was a computer guy and we gamed on it, so I knew how to plug in a network. So I conned them to give me a job as a computer guy. And I let them know that, oh yeah, I can network computers together, no problem. And I came in, and they probably hired me because I wanted a lot less than anybody else would get paid to do that job. So I did the job and did it well because can't was not a word in my vocabulary. And I became that. But computer guy was not something I like to do. And it was in a nursing home. God, it was so depressing. Nursing homes all over Ohio. I hated that job. Then I became a graphic designer. I knew Photoshop. Pretty much everybody knows Photoshop, right? Yeah, I know Photoshop. I knew how to get into there, maybe erase something or enhance a color and save it. That was my in-depth with Photoshop. But I had these programs at home from a friend of mine who had, God forbid, pirated software, and we would learn this stuff. So I sold myself because can't wasn't a word in my vocabulary, and I became very successful at it. Video. When I finally got back into that again, I started looking for jobs. And video is all based off a portfolio. You got to show them something. I don't care if you graduated with a 4.0, whatever, honors. It doesn't matter. If you can't produce, it's like an art form. You got to show what you could produce, right? So I didn't have much of a portfolio. I had VHS tapes. I'd done a few commercial work here and there, a few things. Nothing spectacular. So I'd go and show them my demo reel. I could wow them getting the interview. I could charm them, personality, no problem. My demo reel was lacking. Well, don't quit your day job. So I kept on and I kept on, and I became who I am today because of that. Now, that thing also goes with creating TV shows. People approach me about doing television shows, never did it before. Sure, I can do it, no problem at all. What do you need? You know, just make sure you can sell yourself once you get in there. Now, this believing in yourself is good. You should always believe in yourself. And the idea that can't isn't a word in your vocabulary should transfer into everything you do. But don't ever lose that, because I've lost that as well. I've questioned myself, and I've doubted myself. And due to reasons outside of circumstances, things happen in your life. Things change on a dime. What you think of today and what tomorrow could be two different things, and you can lose who you are in a matter of minutes, moments, seconds. You can lose all bounds of reality and lose everything. And it happened to me. I didn't go crazy. I didn't get put into anywhere, so to speak. An insane asylum. Maybe I should have for a while. It might have been better for me to figure out who I was. But I kept on pushing through. And when you question who you are, you lose everything. You lose your charisma. You lose your confidence. So never, ever lose that. Lose that ability to ride that wave of can't is not a word in your vocabulary. And that's, now to get back, to tie this back into this full circle story aspect, my father, who's an artist now, when I left for college, he started painting again. Now, he had crazy artwork around. He built his house. We were hillbillies that built everything, and we built it ourselves. So we're a very artistic family. We never thought about it, never talked. My dad would never say anything about art. Later on, I asked him why. I didn't think you could make money at it, and I wanted to set you up for a good life. And I didn't think by any means that you would ever make money at art, because I could never do it. And he regrets that today because I got handicapped from it. But that's the funny thing about him telling me that. He in himself doubted his own abilities and doubted everything that he did. And even though he taught me good lessons, it took me leaving, going out on my own, trying to become an engineer, trying to do this, trying to do that, and realizing I fall flat on my face because, admit it, if you do this kind of stuff, you're not like everybody else. You're cut differently. You think differently. You don't work 9 to 5. Your operation hours might be 3 o'clock in the morning until 8 a.m. You're different than people. And I needed to embrace that. So what you take away from this is embrace who you are. And can't shouldn't be a word in your vocabulary either, because you can do anything you want to. And you can achieve anything you want to by keeping that little adage in the back of your head, can't is not a word in your vocabulary.